can I say? Oh. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Just kidding. We'll do a little humor joke. I was gonna do it again, but we'll just do a little Hine Matov. How nice it is that we are here together. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim b'nam. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim b'nam. Hine Matov, shevet achim Shalom, Kayla. All right. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Welcome. So this weekend, this Shabbat, we are celebrating what we call Repro Shabbat. And on this Shabbat, we, along with many, many other synagogues, are partnering with the National Council of Jewish Women as a way of bringing the whole Jewish community together to talk about what our tradition teaches about reproductive health, rights, and justice. And when we study, we know that reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that tonight. We're going to look at a piece of text together tonight, and then Liz is going to give a drosh tomorrow for the Sisterhood Shabbat. Thank you for doing that. And if you've been here for either Repro Shabbat in the past, or I know Lucy spoke about reproductive justice this past fall, then you know that our tradition, coming up here, cool, not only permits the termination of a pregnancy, but it even requires it when the life of a pregnant person is at stake. That's something that we've talked about before. And the idea of kavod habriot, the idea of human dignity, is, in building a just society, a part of ultimate Jewish concerns. And for me, Repro Shabbat is important because it's more than just about abortion access. To me, Repro Shabbat is about reproductive freedom and access to holistic health care for all people, regardless of their gender. And I think that that is a Jewish issue, regardless of where you stand. You might personally feel like you would not want to have an abortion, and that is totally fine, or you might feel like you would, but it's all good. Regardless of where you stand on what I would call the political aspect of it, I think that idea of the whole person having dignity, each individual, is a Jewish issue. And one of the reasons I think it's so important for us to take part, is anyone paying attention to me, or are you just looking at Kayla because she's so cute? You're stealing the show, Kayla. It's okay. I understand. One of the reasons, one of the reasons that I think it's important for us to publicly take part in Repro Shabbat and say boldly and proudly that this is a Jewish issue is because, especially in our own history, in Jewish history, women's voices and women's lives have historically been marginalized. And even today, if you are part of an Orthodox community, women's voices are not lifted up, I think, in the same way. Just a very small example that's connected to fertility is that when in an Orthodox community, when a couple is having fertility issues, the assumption is that it's the woman who's the problem. Um, and the fact that it's framed like that as a problem, right? We just see that there's a lot of disparity. So I think it's important as a Jewish community to say that reproductive health care for everybody is important to us as a Jewish community. And sort of connected to that idea, going back to that idea that one of our core beliefs as a Jewish community is this idea of B'Tselem Elohim, that each individual person, regardless of their race, gender, age, anything, defining like that has a spark of divinity in them, that we're all made in the image of God. One of the ways that women have historically found voice in the Jewish community, especially in the last 50 years, is through Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is when we celebrate the new month. And there's a blessing that we say, that we are going to say tonight. Thanks to Amy in our Talmud class, we were talking about blessing for the new moon in Talmud, and Amy appropriately reminded me that we should say the blessing. And if you've never heard of Rosh Chodesh, one of the most common ways that Rosh Chodesh comes up today is that there are these women's circles for Rosh Chodesh. Now that, I think, is expanding as our understanding of gender is expanding, which is really cool to see. And here we have what we call a Tselem group that Liz leads with our teens, that meets once a month, connected to that idea of Rosh Chodesh. And so we are going to, tonight, because tonight is the first day of a new month. Anyone know what month this is in the Jewish calendar? Adar. You bonus points because you got the Aleph. It's Adar 1. So this year we have 2 months of Adar. And Adar is all about bringing joy into our lives. We're supposed to seek out joy during the month of Adar, and bonus, we get 2 of them this year. So tonight we're going to look at some texts around reproductive justice, and also want to uplift some of those ideas of B'Tselem Elohim, so that we can spark some joy for each other. If you have your Siddur, we are going to start actually on page 261 today. We have slides up on the screen for almost everything, but not everything. So this is one of those things. Bye. 261. All right. So whenever there's a new month, the tradition is to say a blessing for announcing the new month. And usually it's done in the context of a Torah service on Shabbat morning. We're going to do it here right now on Friday night because we can. So I will read the Hebrew, and then if you would please join me in the English, we'll read that together. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetchadesh aleinu ha'et hachodesh hazeh l'tova v'livracha v'titen lanu chayim arukim, chayim shel shalom, chayim shel parnasah, chayim shetei vanu ahavat Torah v'yirat shamayim, chayim sheyimalu mishalot libenu l'tova. Say amen. Please join me in the English. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, and prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. And before we announce the new month using the Hebrew, I'll just make note, thanks to my mom also in Talmud for the reminder. I'm sure it's on the live stream. that last year with Isaac and Rabbi Shana Brinjagar-Bialik, we made these beautiful banners with our fingerprints. Each one represents a different month in the Hebrew calendar. So that fun, festive pink one with the rainbow grogger is for the month of Adar. So you can maybe reflect on that during our service tonight if you need a little something to turn your eyes to. It captures that spirit of joy, and I love the inclusion of the colors of the rainbow, also connected to that idea of inclusivity. So here's our announcement in Hebrew. Rosh Chodesh Adar Aleph, Yihiyeh Hu Hayom. The new month of Adar 1 begins today. Huzzah. All right, so with that, we are going to continue now moving into our Shabbat service. We'll start welcoming Shabbat with the lighting of the candles. That blessing can be found, if you would like, in your prayer book, to be on page 2. Let's see. Ed and Judy, would you be willing to come light candles? Thank you. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. Will you grab that kiddush cup if you would? And can't escape yet. Before we say our blessing over the wine, our kiddush, our symbol of joy on Shabbat, does anyone have a simcha, anything you're celebrating on this Shabbat? Or new month? Maybe there's something going into Adar that you're very excited about. Ooh. There's some spring is coming inspiration for you all. Deborah and Miriam walked here. How long did it take you to walk here? Oh my goodness. What a beautiful way to enter Shabbat. That's wonderful. Amazing. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Let's join together in our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon hinhilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziyat mitzrayim, kivanu v'chol Yatanu kitashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Shoyim. Thank you very much. And we're going to continue now with L'chado D, which is our prayer home, welcoming in the Sabbath bride, that spirit of Shabbat. We're going to join together on pages 20 through 21, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And our tradition is when we get to that final 9th verse that if you're able, we turn and face the entrance to the sanctuary. Sit down. Now that we've welcomed in the Sabbath bride, we're going to take just a moment to welcome each other since you all were so quiet when we came in. Make sure you say Shabbat Shalom to the people around you. Maybe find someone you don't know, introduce yourself, and then we'll meet back up for Shalom Aleichem. Be bold, everybody. When you're ready, you can have a seat and we'll join together on page 24 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Hayom, Mili Melech, Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem v'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hayom, Mi Melech Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni v'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hayom, Mi Melech Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkem v'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hayom, Mi Melech Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We move now from our Kabbalat Shabbat part of our service into the Ma'ariv part of our service, the evening prayers, the Shema, and its surrounding blessings. First one of those is the Baruch Hu, which is our call to worship, which is on page 28. If you're able, please rise and we'll join together. Baruch Hu Adonai, may be seated. And we turn now in our Siddur to Ma'ariv Aravim. Let's join together in the English at the top of page 31. If you have a prayer book, or at the top of page 31, please join me. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And on page 33, our prayer Ahavat Olam, giving thanks for the gift of Torah. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema is on page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam v'ad. Let's turn together. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'kol nafshecha u'v'chol me'otecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi tzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levadecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech u'shuchbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot ayadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam amazuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem meretz Mitzrayim v'yod lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. We move from Ve'ahavta into Michamocha, our song of redemption. Are you all willing to do something a little bit silly with me? Great. Well, since it's Adar, we're going to do a version of Michamocha that we don't usually do. Yeah. What? Oh, sorry. Oh, Christina. Toda rabah to Christina, who is always willing to roll with my craziness. So kind of you. Too late. Here's a little song I wrote, and I want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, you know the song. Be happy. Here's a little song I wrote, and I want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. All right, who's gonna? Or was some luck. We did not. So out of Michamocha, out of freedom, we move into Hashki. They knew asking for God to provide a shelter of peace over us, especially when we're out in that wilderness, out in the vulnerable territory of the in-between. Ashkifinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. We are going to turn now from the Shema and its blessings into the next portion of our service. And if you were thinking at all, my goodness, I wonder where all those prayers came from. Now is a great time to join our Talmud class on Thursdays, because we just, 3 years in, we've just got to about halfway through Brachot, which is where we're at the section where they start talking about the formation of all of our liturgy. So if you want to learn more about these prayers, how they came to be, why we say them, Thursday is at 12 o'clock. You're all welcome. So we move into the sort of peak of our service now, the Tefillah, which is also called the Amidah, because we stand, if we're able for this prayer, stand before God. So Amidah begins on page 46. If you are able, please rise, and we will join together. Mashiach Umagi. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Hoshea. Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem. Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Tomech Noflim Verofeh Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Anunato Vishane Afar. Bichamo Chaba Geberot, Nito Melech, Melech Lemi Tumechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emadata le'hakayotako, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye ha'chad. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, V'kadoshim b'chol yom yihaleluch ha'selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. I'm going to take some time now for silent private prayer. You can be seated whenever it is comfortable for you, and we'll join back together in a few moments. Page 56. Find favor, Adonai our God, with your people Israel, and accept their love in prayer. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your spirit upon us. Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, on this first day of the new month, Rosh Chodesh, be mindful of us and all your people Israel, for good, for love, for compassion, life, and peace. Remember us for well-being. Visit us with blessing. Help us to live a fuller life. We'll turn now to page 58. And this, we've done this a few times. This is a version of the prayer Modim written by Debbie Friedman that is very selective in which pieces of the text it uses. Will mainly be in the second paragraph of this prayer. But this prayer, Modim Anachnu Lach, is one of my favorite prayers. It's one that, even when I'm in a rush in the Amidah, make sure I get to this one. I think it connects in an important way to this season of Adar when we say we're supposed to increase our joy. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and they were talking about, it was not a Jewish podcast, but they were asking the question, is the dream of a Tuesday solution dead? And at the very end, won't go into the whole podcast, but at the very end, one of the people said something about despair, and the other person said, we don't have a choice. I actually don't even know if either of them were Jewish. Neither disclosed themselves to be Jewish, but he said, despair is not an option for us, that we have to have hope. That's the only way forward. And it made me think of this prayer, Modim Anachnu Lach, which is that last line in the first half of the page, that we forever put our hope in you, and we give thanks. And it's not a Pollyanna-ish, like everything is awesome, it's all good, but it's a prayer that comes from a place of deep joy and choosing to have hope, perhaps in spite of, or maybe even because of the hardships that we go through. And so as we are increasing our joy this month, we should have some frivolity and just silly fun, but I think also that sense of deep joy and gratitude that comes from that place of hope, choosing hope instead of despair. So we're going to start with the words. Can I find them? It's the last three words of the Hebrew there. Me'olam kivinu lach. We forever put our hope in you. Me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach. Let's try that. Me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach. Go back up a little bit. Ve'al visecha sheb'chol yom. All the miracles of every day. Erev avoker v'tzoraim. Me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach. And we turn our thoughts now to our loved ones who are in need of healing, whether that's need of strength to face an illness, needing healing of body, mind, or spirit. We take a moment, as we do at every Shabbat service, to recognize our loved ones and hold them up in our Mishaberach prayer. This Shabbat, we are praying as a community for the healing of Azrael Early, Rohan Early, Amy Thornton, Stacy Hetzel, Diane Turner, Jacqueline Tara Smith, Deborah Rose, Eileen Kreisman, Ronnie Haber, Vadim Barzam, Ellen Gottlieb, Vanessa Bianco, Paul McCready, Janelle Cohen, Glenn Letts, Jesse Early, Andrea Gorovich, Carl Wilhite, Ginny Gaston, Cindy Balin, Patty Newby, Adrian Hellender, Barbara Laird, Marion Laird, Michelle Arrigo, Joni Michaels, Joe Giordano, Sheldon Shelley Morgenstern, Roberta Carmel, Joshua Kornblue, and Brian Ward. Are there other names of loved ones you'd like to mention, bring into this space for our Mishaberach prayer? If you're on our live stream, I hope you'll share the names in the chat of loved ones you're praying for. Let's join together. We're on the middle of page 253. Mishaberach prayer. Mishaberach. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the service, we're going to be looking at a little piece of text tonight together. And before I hand out the text, just have a few comments, and also, I should have been more optimistic. We'll share. And I have the text on the screen too. So those of you who have that good eyesight, you can read the screen. So, Repro Shabbat always falls on Parshat Mishpatim. So Parshat Mishpatim is the Torah portion for this week. And so we're going to be looking at a little piece from the Torah portion. But before we jump into that, I just want to give a little bit of context. This Torah portion, it's in the book of Exodus, sort of pretty close to the end of Exodus. And so we've already gone out of Egypt. We are on that journey in the wilderness, forming and storming, as Jennifer Merku says, into who we're going to be as a people. And the Torah portion starts with the words, now these are the Mishpatim, Elah Mishpatim. These are the rules, the laws. So it's the word Mishpatim is different from mitzvah or mitzvot, commandment, but it's so often gets translated as laws, that you, Moses, shall set before the people. And if you think about this idea of a whole society that's in formation, and everyone wants to know how to be a good person in this world, what are we supposed to do? And so much of this Torah portion delves into that. It's a lot of laws about what I would say has to do with what it means to be a good person. And in particular, I think what is interesting in this Torah portion, especially because we just come out of Egypt not too long ago, is a lot of these laws have to do with what happens when you're in a position of power, when you have power over other people or over the earth or whatever, other animals. And I think that question of what is our responsibility when we have power over other people is crucial in the conversation about reproductive justice, because we're voting on laws that impact everybody, and I have noticed that it seems like people who care the most are very concerned with other people's bodies. And so maybe you're a person who is in a position of power in a different way, an elected official, a medical professional. Maybe you're a person who has power as a voter, but I think it's relevant. Some of the other ways that Mishpatim asks this question of what does it mean when you're in a position of power, I just think it's interesting to take this in context before we jump into our little verse here. Some of the things that come up are when you have a Hebrew servant, what are your responsibilities? When you cause unintentional pain to other people, what are your responsibilities? If you lend money to a poor person, it talks about how you're not allowed to collect interest. You're not supposed to gossip or spread false rumors about people. You're not supposed to take bribes. We have the first instance of the Shemitah laws that come up in this Torah portion. Talks about how if you're a leader in the community, you're not allowed to treat widows and orphans, marginalized people, treat them poorly. And if you do treat them poorly, you will be held accountable. They make that very clear in this Torah portion. So just, these are the surrounding verses that I think it all feeds into a larger question, especially of that idea of when we're in a position of power, how do we see the humanity in each person and really take our role seriously. One of the things that comes up in this Torah portion is the reminder that we have a lot in our Torah. That you remember, you were a slave in Egypt, right? So that's the why of all these things. And Nechama Leibowitz, the wonderful Torah commentator, says that the reason that because you have been oppressed, we talk about, you might be more tempted to lord it over someone else when you finally have power. And so that's precisely what is forbidden here that they're talking about, the direct connection between what we've been through and now that we might potentially have power. So we're going to look at one very specific text, which is in chapter 21. And I want to encourage you, as we have this conversation, to let the text go on a journey with the text. I think when we talk about big ticket issues, we know that confirmation bias is just a thing that exists in the world, and so a lot of times people come to text looking for confirmation one way or another of how they feel, and I think in some way that's probably unavoidable, but I also think it's interesting to try and come to the text and see what the text has to offer you. So this is what I'm going to hand out, but guess what? I'm going to make that a lot bigger. So if you all would share over here if they need. And we aren't going to spend, we're not going to do a whole hour-long Torah study here. Sorry, folks, because I know some of you are very disappointed. Because as it turns out, it's already 7:30. And there are, so National Council of Jewish Women offers many, many, many different Jewish texts to look at, not just this Torah text. So if you're interested in learning more about what Judaism has to say about reproductive freedom, I'm happy to send you some of that. But we're going to look at this Exodus text from chapter 21, verses 22 through 25. And because we have some friends on the live stream, I'm going to read it so everyone in the microphone can hear. So here we go. When men fight, and I think it's worth noting that the Hebrew really just says people, but when men fight and one of them pushes a pregnant woman and a miscarriage results, but no other damage ensues, the one responsible shall be fined according as the woman's husband may exact from him, the payment to be based on reckoning. But if other damage ensues, the penalty shall be, this might be familiar, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. And then we have a little, in other words here, in other words, if someone accidentally causes a miscarriage to take place, they're obligated to pay financial reparations only. The case is not treated as manslaughter or murder, which in ancient times would demand the death penalty. The other damage that would demand the death penalty, life for life, would be the death of the pregnant person or some other serious punishment relating to the damage caused, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, etc. Therefore, they say causing the termination of pregnancy is not in the Torah considered murder. So I would, okay, there are a bunch of questions there for discussion, but I actually wanted to start with that last one. Does this text surprise you in any way? Yeah, Deb. Yeah. Payment goes to the husband, yeah. Add that to the list. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Nothing else surprise you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Which that, yeah, right here gives you a pretty clear definition. Yeah. Okay. I think, I want to go to the second question. What does the distinction tell us about how pregnancy was regarded in the ancient world? And what are the implications for our day? So, this is a text we're limited in many ways. I think, oftentimes there's the Talmud text that talks about at what point a fetus is considered a human or not, a baby or not, and that often talks about when the person giving birth, who's pregnant, when their life is at risk. So that text gets used a lot when talking about Jewish views of reproductive justice. And I always find that limiting because it's talking about a case where the person's life is at risk, which is an important, valid conversation. And also, I always wonder, well, what about if it doesn't have to do with if their physical life is at risk, but there are other reasons. Same thing here. You could, on the one hand, say like, wow, the Torah talks about when a pregnancy ends, how that's handled. And from that, you could extrapolate many things. But also, this text is not talking about like an intentional abortion. So, right, there's limitations on this. But curious, that in mind, if there are implications that we could take from this. Any ideas? I'm good at waiting. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Carol. Yeah. I think that's one possible way to extrapolate. Does any, great. Shocking. Yeah. And I don't know if there are any midrashim. If there's not, someone please write a midrash about this pregnant woman, because I don't know if there are any midrashim imagining, but like we have a midrashim imagining other unnamed women in the Torah, so, and what their names are, what their lives were. So, yeah, I mean, really, the pregnant woman is more the object in a way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Just the vessel, that's all, yeah. 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 Yeah, no, I think it is fair. There's no criminal justice system here. So at this time, it's either a financial penalty or death penalty, essentially. Those are the two options that we have. So, right, that and in some ways, you could make an argument like that a financial restitution isn't maybe enough or doesn't really truly make up for this. And on the other hand, I mean, it's significant that they're not saying that it would result in death. I think that's what is there that you could see as a highlight here, is that they're making it, they meaning the Torah, like there's a clear statement that it's not equal to a full life. Yeah. I'm curious if anyone disagrees or maybe heartily agrees with the NCJW's. Therefore, the causing the termination of pregnancy is not in the Torah considered murder. Anyone want to disagree with that? I'm trying to create some controversy here, people. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a sentence in the Talmud in Yevamot that says if a person is found pregnant, that until the 40th day it's mere fluid, which in the way that they counted was after someone got their last period, so about 8 weeks-ish. So that only takes us up to 8 weeks, but they do make some pretty clear statements in that way. And also, by the way, sorry, I didn't say this up front, but just a note about that our texts are gendered in a way that we don't necessarily use the same language today in an inclusive way, because not all people who are identify as women can get pregnant, and not all people, so we say like people who carry or people who get pregnant like that, but here they just say a woman and a man, and that's those more limitations of our text, but we still love it and delve into it. Anyone else want to disagree with this? No. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to go all the way back here. So if you were here early in the beginning of the service, the first slide, should I just go back this way? I'll just go back this way. I had the first slide, I asked when people were walking in, is this too much? So abortion bans are against our religion, which is a much bolder statement. Does anyone have a reaction to that? Yes, Greg. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I would say as as Reform Jews, because there might be people who identify as Jewish who interpret the text differently, and that's their right, I guess. Jeff? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm. What? Yeah. Interesting. So there was an interview that Kamala Harris did. I think it was probably about a year ago, where she talked about how it was with Glennon Doyle. She talked about how she thinks that reproductive choices should be taken out of the political sphere and made wholly religious, so that, so I think, sort of to your point, Greg, that like each person in their own religious way can make their own decisions for the people who care about it from a religious perspective, and take it completely out of the political sphere, which I think will never happen, but it's wishful thinking. It was interesting, an interesting case, because I think so when our teens went to DC not too long ago, was that a year ago? Or was that 2 years ago? I don't even remember anymore. Time. 1 year ago. Lucy and some other teens lobbied on reproductive freedom, and actually made the opposite case. But I think that just one of the points is that when mixing the political and the religious gets really complicated, because religion is so personal. Yeah. Yeah. We met him. Were you in that session? He was there. Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 Yes, please. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It it absolutely is. So thank you for being my seat. I did not I didn't pay you to do that. But as we wrap up, and I'm sorry, I apologize to anyone who's online because I know you can't hear all the comments. Oh, you can hear the you can. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Everyone say thank you to Liz at some point tonight. At some point tonight. Thank you, Liz. You're amazing. You're amazing. Typing in the comments so that our people online could stay up to speed. So, abortion is not only permitted in Jewish law, but it is required, as we talked about, when the life of the pregnant person is in danger. And abortion is also an issue of Jewish values, as we talked about. Abortion bans deepen every structural inequality that exists. As Deborah pointed out so importantly, it disproportionately causes harm to those who struggle financially, BIPOC individuals, communities, disabled people, young people, trans men, some non-binary people, immigrants, and other people, other communities. And we are commanded, not just, well, I would say, especially in this Torah portion, we are commanded to create a more just society. This is the beginning of Judaism in this Torah portion and the surrounding Torah portions. And it's clear when we read these Torah portions that we are commanded to uphold justice. And I think that for us today, that means fighting for reproductive access for everybody. Our access to reproductive health care is guaranteed not only by the 14th Amendment, the right to equality and privacy, but also by the First Amendment's guarantee that no one religion or religious interpretation will be enshrined in law or regulation. And so we must not remain idle while barriers to health care place any individual's health, well-being, autonomy, or economic security at risk, because reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. And I want to end with a prayer that we'll read together, which is on the back page if you have the text sheet there. And I'll pull back to our original programming. If you can read it, it's a little bit small. Now, who can read? You can't read that. Sorry. Maybe you can turn to someone next to you who has it. And if you have access, you can read with me. And if you do not, you can give the big hearty amen. Please join me. May we always remember that each person is created in the image of the sacred, endowed with the inherent right to autonomy and respect. May we create a caring and loving community, a nation that reveres this dignity in each of us. May we understand our obligations to one another. We are all inherently holy and should be treated as such. May we find within ourselves the collective will to create a just society in which reproductive justice, the holy right to own the personhood of one's own body, to have or not have children, to raise any children in safety and community, is foundational. May we endow each other with the strength, resolve, and courage we need as we walk together towards a liberatory world. May we always follow the leadership of those most impacted by the harms of reproductive oppression. May we listen and learn. May our country become a place of true liberty and justice for all. May our relationships with each other be ones of care and deep respect. May we walk together on the path of our community as we work together to ensure truly accessible abortion care for all. We can say together, amen to that. And we're going to continue now with Aleinu, which is our prayer reminding us of the obligation to do that work of repairing the wrongs in our world, the tears in our society. If you're able, please rise. We are on page 283. Aleinu l'shabeach radon hakol, latet gdula l'yotzer breshit, shehu sam kalkeinu li'achad et shemo, ve'gohar aleinu le'amlik malchuta, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, v'melech ha'aretz, v'yom ha'hu, yeh have a seat, and we turn now to page 294 as we think about our loved ones who are no longer with us. Taking a moment, as we do every Shabbat, to remember them. On this Shabbat, we are mourning the recent loss of Donald Max Miller. Donald is the father of Karen Miller and father-in-law to Yumi and grandfather of their daughter Nadia. We also mourn the recent loss of Frank Allen Coombs, father of Carol, father-in-law to Brian, grandfather to Shoshana, Galia, David, Daniel, Rafi, and Emily, and great-grandfather to Kayla and Solly. And we also, on the Shabbat, mourn the recent loss of Jill and for Leo. Jill was Karen Rosenberg's younger sister. Jill left many loved ones behind, including 2 other sisters, her husband, children, stepmother, nieces and nephews, grandchild, in-laws, relatives, and great friends. Jill was on our Misha Barak list. That name might sound familiar to you for a long, long time. Jill was kind and loving to all. She was, Karen wanted to share that she was a great cook, brilliant, creative, artistic, unique in her own special way, optimistic, wise, strong, determined, empathetic, and the list of her fine traits will always be with Karen, our member, and Jill's loved ones. Jill's greatest gift to all her loved ones was she cooked 3 meals a day for her family. Jill made sure that Paul, Billy, and Katie, along with their guests, always had foods that each one loved at every meal. This was Jill's most unique trait. There is no other wife or mom in this world who would do that for their loved ones and family. I can probably attest to that. Many conversations among moms about being short order cooks. So that's amazing that she did. So we are holding Donald, Frank Allen, and Jill Ann in our hearts, mourning their recent loss. And we also on this Shabbat are observing the yard sites of loved ones who passed away at this time in years past. We remember on the Shabbat Beatrice Young Carlin, Lucille Paris Karp, Helen Judith Fagan, Richard Frank, Gertrude Keir, Guido Marcatelli, Stephen Mermelstein, Gerald D. Michaelman, Julianne Morris, Michael Morris, Rosa Lee Morris, Jean Pardo, Wallace Arthur Reed Sr., Martissa Smith, Elizabeth Spector, Bob Stubbs, Jerome B. Vinico, Boru Weiselman, Siegbert Whale, and Russell Wolf. Are there other names you'd like to add to our Kaddish list today? If you're online, please share in the chat. If you're able, please rise as we join together in Mourners Kaddish in support of our mourners. We're on page 294. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach v'yotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayed kol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei amaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha v'yifru. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbekata v'nechamata, odam iran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei sham rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mamav, hu yasei shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. The one who provides comfort to those who are bereaved, be a source of comfort and peace to all of us, and say together, Amen. You may be seated. I would love to invite up Liz, who is going to offer a little welcome on behalf of the board. Thank you for all that you do, Liz. You play many roles here.
Oh, thank you all so much for being here with us, whether it is your first time or you have been here many times. We are so happy to be celebrating Shabbat with you. If you're able to, I would personally love it if you would come back and join us tomorrow at 10:30. The Sisterhood of Temple B'nai Torah has put a lot of effort into making a beautiful service for us tomorrow. We will continue to reflect on Repro Shabbat and celebrate Shabbat together, including a delightful Kiddush lunch. So please be there for that. And consider, if you are a part of a family or young at heart and have cool PJs, come back at 4 p.m. tomorrow for a PJ pajama party in Havdalah. It'll be great. Yeah, I see some people getting excited. Monday, we are beginning our online reintroduction to Judaism. That is through Zoom, taught by Rabbi Nemetov at 7 p.m. Check the calendar or your bulletin for updates. And then please come back next weekend. We have Michelle Cox as an artist in residence joining us. And if that is not the way that you most want to observe Shabbat next Saturday, we're also going for a hike that will not be starting from here. Again, all the details for that are in the calendar at templebneitorah.org or in your email. Thank you so much, and Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you, Christina, for playing drum with me here tonight. We're going to end with La Yehudim. This is a text that comes from the book of Esther, near the end of the story. And we oftentimes sing this when we do Havdalah at the end of Shabbat, as we bid Shabbat adieu. And today we are going to sing it as we remind ourselves that we are moving into the season of Adar, although don't worry, Purim is still at least a month away. Barely. My Yehudim, High Torah, Vesimcha, Vesatzon, Vika. My Yehudim, High Torah, Vesimcha, Vesatzon, Vika. And Tievana. We are going to sing our blessing over the challah. Kayla, you want to help me with the hamotzi? Okay. That was extra. Okay. Come on. Ready? Got that? Shabbat shalom, everybody.
One more announcement.
Oh, yeah.
Because our fundraiser is less than a month away, 3 weeks away, so please sign up. We are planning a super fun party. You missed the party, if you ever watch it, love it. So if you have any questions about what that means, please ask me, but please sign up. We want you all to go.
Thank you. All right, Shabbat shalom, everybody.